While everyone, including myself, was paying attention to the drama between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, and I'm not saying that that was a thing to intentionally distract us from this. No, that was just a thing that was happening. And maybe they otherwise would have done this at a slightly different time and they tried to sneak it in while everybody was distracted, but probably not. Ultimately, they probably were just going to do this and they did this and no one noticed because everybody was obsessed with this thing. But I think that it's worthy of noting this thing that they call the Big Beautiful Bill. This is a budget reconciliation bill. It's the only bill that they'll be able to pass with a simple majority because it's filibuster proof. And nothing else is, and you're not going to be able to pass much else in this current climate when nobody likes anybody at all. So the Big Beautiful Bill is just the budget reconciliation bill, but there are only some things that you can include in a reconciliation bill. You can't really pass new laws. You can only do things that affect the federal budget. So for example, if you just hated the idea that we regulate the fuel economy of vehicles, you couldn't pass a law saying the government can't regulate the fuel economy of vehicles anymore. That wouldn't be filibuster proof and none of the Democrats would vote for it. So it just wouldn't happen. But what they have done instead is amazing. We have this thing called CAFE. I don't even know what it stands for. I've always heard it talked about as the CAFE standards. These are the standards for what the fuel economy of vehicles have to be. Now you might have heard of this in terms of a very, I think, oversimplified story of how the CAFE standards pushed companies to make much bigger cars and not make sedans anymore because the bigger cars had looser CAFE standards. I don't actually buy this that much. I think Americans want bigger cars and car companies want bigger profits. Maybe that CAFE standards have something to do with it, but they do have different standards for different sized cars. You can't escape them completely by building a bigger car, but the requirement for fuel economy is less efficient if you build a bigger car because it's going to have to be. It has a greater mass and will run into more air molecules. So you may have heard about CAFE in that context, but in general, CAFE has pushed the efficiency of vehicles higher, which has lowered the cost of driving for people and also lowered the cost of gas because there's less demand for gasoline and thus the supply and demand interaction means lower prices. Obviously, complexities around this, but it's good to make cars more efficient, and we've done a fairly good job of that over the years. You can see that the efficiency of cars has actually increased. The way the CAFE works is it says okay, look at all the cars that you sell, and in all these different categories, if you go under a certain miles per gallon number, then you get fined. That's the whole thing. And we don't need to get into the details too tightly here. I do remember that I think BMW bought Mini in part specifically so that they could have a more efficient fleet so that a lot of their bigger sedans wouldn't have to be as efficient because they'd have all these other cars that they were selling that were little. That's just a thing that's in my memory. I don't actually know if that's true, but it's in there from back when I was, can you believe it, a car reporter. That was a thing that I did once. Corporate average fuel economy. That's in there from then. That's why I know that. CAFE, corporate average fuel economy. Anyway, the point is you have to meet these efficiency targets or you have to pay a fine. But here's a clever thing. That fine goes to, of course, the US Treasury. It is income for the US government. Now, it is not a useful amount of income to the US government. These fines can be big for these companies, but it's not going to help pay down the deficit. You might have companies paying tens or hundreds of millions of dollars in fines if they don't meet their efficiency targets. But the point of the fine isn't to raise money to pay for stuff. It's just to punish the companies for not meeting the efficiency targets. But it does go to the US Treasury, which means that in a budget reconciliation bill, it is something that you can touch. You can affect it. You can't say, no, the government shouldn't be regulating this stuff. That would be a new law. But if it affects the budget, you can mess with it in budget reconciliation. And the way these fines work is for every unit of miss that you have, you multiply that by a number. So for every zero point 0.1 miles per gallon per vehicle sold that you miss, you have to pay $15. That doesn't sound like a lot, but if you miss by 5 miles per gallon on 500,000 vehicles, that's hundreds of millions of dollars. And I think the biggest CAFE fine ever paid was on that order. What they have decided to do in the budget reconciliation in the Big Beautiful Bill is to reduce the multiplier. So we're going to reduce the fine. And that is something that you can do in budget reconciliation. You're going to reduce the income to the US government. What are you going to multiply by? 15? Not anymore. 5? 1? No, 0. So what are you going to reduce it to? You're going to reduce it to 0, which means that all of these policies that are in place just don't exist anymore. I think this is kind of hilarious. Just the way that our country now works, where we can't pass any laws unless it's part of the yearly budget reconciliation. So we have to find ways to do what we want to do in ways that make no sense. Just let's keep all the laws on the books. Let's make sure that we record exactly how many miles per gallon under the limits that they are so that we can send them a fine, and we'll send them the fine, and the fine will be for $0 because we took all of that data and then we multiplied by 0, which is, for clarity, what's going to happen if this goes through. Like, they'll have to still do all of the reporting. They'll have to have all the companies still send in the data so that we know how much they missed the targets by, and then we'll multiply that number by 0, and then we'll send them a fine for $0. I actually don't know if that last part will happen. Maybe at that point, they won't have to get an email about it. Regardless, what a world! Let's play connections. June 14th, Mom, Queen, Ribbon, Border, Blue, Boston, Heart. Got some bands. This can't be it. They're sucking us in here. Legend, Toto. That is 4. That is 4 of them. Arrow, Icon, Hooch, Rat, Bull, Astro, Diva. I don't believe it. I don't believe it, especially because I did see Queen and Diva, and that makes me think that's going to be a thing, along with Mom, no. Mother, if it was Mother, maybe. Ribbon, Border, Blue, Boston, Heart, Legend, and Icon. Also, we've got Hooch, which is going to be either one of two things, Booze or Turner and Hooch. Hooch being the dog and Turner and Hooch. And we've also got Toto, who's a dog. And then we have other dogs. We've got Blue, that's probably a dog. That's taking up a dog space in my brain. I don't know what dog this is. If someone's editing this video, this dog is probably Blue. Bluey. And Astro is also a dog. I don't know is Astro a dog that plays baseball? Possibly. I don't know. It's not Bolt. Bolt's a different dog. But Astro is taking up a dog space in my brain as well. This is weird because both Blue and Astro I feel like are definitely dogs, but I could not tell you what dogs these are. And I feel like this is cross-generational. We've got Toto for the boomers. We've got Hooch for Gen X. We've got maybe Astro for the millennials. And then Bluey, if it was Bluey, that would be for the Gen Zs. Or even Gen Alpha. Very cross-generational dog selection here, if I'm right, and I don't actually know who Blue is. And so we've got, let's shuffle to put these, ooh, first click! Got them grouped in the first click. And then we've got Queen, Diva, Icon, and Legend. And then we got Ribbon, Rat, Boston, Ribbon, Rat, Boston, Bull, Arrow, Heart, Mom. Rat and Bull are both animals. Border? Is that Border one of them? Ribbon? What am I missing? These are all those. Mom, Heart, Arrow. Border, Bull, Boston, Rat. Yeah, so we've got Bull and Rat. Bull and Rat are animals. That's not gonna help me at all. Arrow is a symbol. A heart is a symbol. Mom is not a symbol. Mom. What's the weirdest thing in here? Boston, maybe? Ribbon? Like, rat could be a ton of things. Blue ribbon, blue heart, purple ribbon, purple, border, collie, border, bull collie, bull terrier, Boston terrier, rat terrier, border terrier. Is there such thing as a border terrier? Is there another dog category in this? Mom terrier, ribbon terrier, heart terrier, arrow. No. Is there a border terrier? If there is, I do not know of it. Bull, Boston, rat. And that would leave us with what? Ribbon, heart, arrow, mom? Mom core, arrow, green arrow. What's the superhero name? Purple heart, blue ribbon, pink mom, and green arrow. I don't know what's happening here. So maybe let's see if that's the purple, everybody. And it's the green. Excuse me. Elements of a classic mom tattoo. There's an arrow, a heart, a mom, and a ribbon. Yeah, no, okay, that's true. I guess I hadn't composed them into a singular image in my mind. Connections. I guess that's what I should have done. What's the hard one? It's probably rat, Boston, bull, and border. Border terrier. Is there a border terrier? And I don't know about this. There's a border terrier. I did not know about that. There's a border collie. Diva. Okay, what's going to be the last one? The dogs. Yeah, Hooch, Astro, Blue, and Toto. Man, dogs of the screen. Who is Astro? Oh, wow. No, that's Boomer Core. He's the dog from the Jetsons. Okay, I missed it. I forgot about, but yeah, okay. And then what about Blue? The dog Blue? I'm not seeing it. Blue. Oh, from Blue's Clues. That's Millennial Core. Okay. From Blue's Clues. That's the small screen. Okay, and Diva, Icon, Queen, Legend, and Mother. All right. I feel like that went fine, but I am a little frustrated, and that is definitely that, okay, I don't know. That seems like a very hard green, but I got it. Whatever. Everybody, I lost because for me, you lose if you don't get purple first, but I won in that I did it like in the normal person way. And so we're just gonna be a normal person today, if that's okay with everyone. For everybody who hung around until the end, that's you. You hung around until the end. Honestly, it would be somewhat shocking to me if you were not subscribed to our weekly newsletter. It's very good. It just gives you a selection of cool stuff from across the internet that you might stumble across while you were like scrolling through Twitter or something, but on the way to finding it, you would have had your faith in humanity destroyed. So maybe we should just deliver to you the good stuff without you having to scroll through all the terrible stuff. My brother John or I write the intro to the newsletter every week. It's a nice thing. It's a good part of the internet. It's a thing that I like a lot. It's a place that feels non-algorithmic, where like you click on it if you want to. It's just an option. Over 250,000 people subscribe to this newsletter. People say lots of nice things about it. You could check it out. There's a link in the description.